Good day, everyone. I am Jane Razel B. Quadra from Group 2, and I will be discussing The Weary Blues by Langston Hughes under New Criticism. But before that, let me give you first a brief background of the author to be followed by the background of the literary piece. To begin with, let me introduce to you Mr. Langston Hughes. James Mercer Langston Hughes, from February 1, 1901 to May 22, 1967, was an American poet, social activist, novelist, playwright, and columnist from Joplin, Missouri, one of the earliest innovators of the literary art form called jazz poetry. Hughes is best known as the leader of the Harlem Renaissance. He famously wrote about the period that the Negro was in vogue, which was later paraphrased as when the Harlem was in vogue. Growing up in a series of Midwestern towns, Hughes became a prolific writer at an early age. He moved to New York City as a young man, where he made his career. He graduated from high school in Cleveland, Ohio, and soon began studies in Columbia University in New York City. Although he dropped out, he gained notice from the New York publishers, first in the Crisis magazine, and then from book publishers and became known in the creative community in Harlem. He eventually graduated from Lincoln University. In addition to poetry, Hughes wrote plays and short stories. Hughes stressed a racial consciousness and cultural nationalism devoid of self hate. His thought united people of African descent and Africa across the globe to encourage pride in their diverse black folk culture and black aesthetic. Hughes was one of the few prominent black writers to champion racial consciousness as a source of inspiration for black artists. And now, here is the overview of the literary piece, The Weary Blues. The Weary Blues is a poem by American poet Langston Hughes. Written in 1925, The Weary Blues was first published in the Urban League magazine, Opportunity. It was awarded the magazine's prize for Best Poem of the Year. The poem was included in the Hughes' first book, a collection of poems, also entitled The Weary Blues. Four poems from the book, although not the title poem, inspired the musical settings, Four Songs from the Weary Blues by Florence Price. The Weary Blues by Langston Hughes fully corresponds to its name, as according to the definition of New Orleans blues players. Blues is the music which appears when a kind man is depressed. Originally, the reason to be depressed is rather serious, especially taking into account that the protagonist is the African American. The structure and the rhythm of the poem is strict, and in spite of the fact that metaphors are also not too deep, like in the previous example, the Weary Blues may be regarded as one of the best poems of the New Criticism epoch in literature. At this point, I will be presenting the literary piece, The Weary Blues, with the original voice of its author, Mr. Langston Hughes.
Droning a drowsy, syncopated tune, rocking back and forth to a mellow croon, I heard a Negro play. Down on Lenox Avenue the other night, by the pale, dull pallor of an old gas light, he did a lazy sway. He did a lazy sway to the tune of those weary blues. With his ebony hands on each ivory key, he made that poor piano moan with melody. Oh, blues. Swaying to and fro on his rickety stool, he played that sad, raggy tune like a musical fool. Sweet blues, coming from a black man's soul. Oh, blues. In a deep song voice with a melancholy tone, I heard that Negro sing, that old piano moan. Ain't got nobody in all this world, ain't got nobody but myself. I was going to quit my frowning and put my troubles on the shelf. Thump, thump, thump went his foot on the floor. He played a few chords, then he sang some more. I got the weary blues and I can't be satisfied. Got the weary blues and can't be satisfied. I ain't happy no more, and I wish that I had died. Far into the night he crooned that tune. The stars went out, and so did the moon. The singer stopped playing and went to bed, while the weary blues echoed through his head. He slept like a rock, or a man that's dead.
Again, The Weary Blues by Langston Hughes. Thank you so much for listening, and again, good day, everyone.